Here as we get the pan on Eddie's backyard. He's thinned out a lot of his big plants here in the last years. I got this
yeah, and that's Isley's salesman. And the cake came in, and he put the whole green in. Started reading on Isley together. So that's what happened. So actually, the only ones I sent off.
Here's Eddie's little stash bin cold frame here, where he's got his goodies put away of too little to really put out yet, line out, and anything else, and a lot of things coming from Holland, from Will, and
That's where this Taxus.
this is a Taxus baccata cultivar of new form.
Green column.
Green column.
Oh,
Gray-green color, very unusual coloration.
Wide leaf.
Wide leaf and very nice.
It said some golden mulgos, dwarf golden mulgos, and the one I was after for a while was Frisian gold, Pinus Contorta Frisian gold.
Pinus, that's it back in the corner there, Eddie?
Yeah.
Did you ever get the Nordman Aurea going, Eddie?
No.
That's not an uncommon plant in the English gardens that I've never really seen over here in America much, and certainly those Normans are good hardy tree, and something that we should go for in the future. Here's the one of the classic story plants of dwarf coniferdom of the Duflan. The guys were hiking in the mountains in British Columbia and came across this extraordinary dwarf Lasiocarpa, and there was some talk about him actually taking the shovel and splitting it in half, wasn't it?
In half.
And tried to really butcher the thing up. Two women, and they each wanted it after one was going to take it originally, then the other one says, no, I want it too, and then they took the shovel and split it in half, but by the grace of God it stays, and it's, I believe it's the dwarfest of the alpine firs that we have, and we call it one of the rarest one, but really Eddie's got much rarer plants here, but certainly one of that's loved by all of us and harder than hen's teeth to get. Here's one of Talon's finds out in the nursery, probably in the understock, the tens of thousands that he runs through on the Norway. He's got a secondary color, unusual color with it's actually a yellow second-year wood and needle on the wood, and then a blue 1-year growth. Would you say that's the most unusual characteristic on it? That this sometimes I've seen, the only time I've ever seen this happen before was on Picea pungens over by us. I came across some pungens over there, and then another unusual plant. Of course, all these plants in here are unusual, but this is a reversion on a Mariana nana, a bolt that occurred, a Picea Mariana nana, on a Jim Cross plant that has that really nice color of Mariana nana, but a little open and unusual habit. So we'll see how that one turns out.
Come across a plant that has no chlorophyll. It's an albino, and you can't propagate it from cuttings because there's nothing there to manufacture food to root the plant, so you have to treat it as a parasite, graft it on something that's green. That's the only way you can grow it. As you can see, the 3 different types of euonymus on here.
Now would you call that also a Dansugi still, right?
I guess you'd call it that.
I don't know. That's an Isley term itself,
that's an
isn't
Isley term, Dansugi.
I mean, well, That's a John Isley term, no doubt, in his own special way. God knows it could be something terrible in Japanese that he's laughing at us in heaven about. Here are the trees from Will and Mr. Devine from over there in Holland that Eddie's got in the house here. A beautiful little Picea glauca aurea.
Yeah, that's Jedlow from Jedlow Nursery.
From Jedlow Nursery, the great German nursery that's been working hard on dwarf conifers. And
this is the Dwarf ABs, Push, P-U-S-C-H.
Dwarf avies there that Eddie's got. Very, very, very short-needled plant. I think it's at least 3 years from graft, I would say. At least 2 years anyhow. 3 years probably. And just minute.
This is Lawsoniana Briggian.
Lawsoniana Briggian. Woo-wee. Little dunce, little bun. And they got a jillion Lawsonianas over there in Europe.
Here's witch's broom microbiota.
Well, that's a new one. That's the first time of a cultivar that I even know on microbiota. Wouldn't you say, Eddie?
That's the first one I came across.
And here in the greenhouse, it doesn't turn brown, but I'm sure that little guy, once we stick it outside, would turn the beautiful microbiota brown.
And this is a Hinoki cypress and obtuse Tatsumi gold.
It has a very nice twist on it and superior color. Guess you can see that baby's going to town, growing every which way. What are there? Those two other semi-variegated forms of Cyoppides there, Eddie, that you're working on?
Yeah, Picola, when they call it Picola.
That's Picola, and then on your right of that is...
no, it is just rooted cuttings I use for understock. I'm just rooting for understock.
Here we are in Ed's. You wouldn't believe what he's all got going on in this. What is the size of your house here, Ed?
Let's see, it's 10 by 20.
10 by 20, and he's got a jam pack full of projects. Retirement isn't a dull thing for Ed here. He's
comes winter, you won't be able to walk in here. It'll be full of grafts.
He's
won't be an inch of space.
You don't keep your grafts here. You bring them in, don't you, Ed, from one of your buddies out of another place?
Yeah, I bring the understock in.
You bring it from a buddy helps set you get it going a little bit. How is your luck going on sticking the Horseman Silverlock? Does it just grow at so much a slower rate though that we're better to graft them usually?
I've only done it a couple of years now, and I think well, you don't take as large a piece as you do grafting them, so maybe a little slower the first year.
You'd only take a 1 year wood for sure, and never 2 year. We're always trying to push the Horseman Silverlock to get them as big as we can, as fast as we can, and sure is pretty in here.
But they root fairly easily.
Yeah. Well, we're rolling now.
This is Suga canadensis, Hebefolia. Look at the foliage on that.
Oh, yes.
That's something.
I can't remember who was telling me about that, but that really is a special little Hebe, being another kind of conifer that's not too common and not very hardy either. But this is Suga canadensis, Hebefolia. I guess we'll have to wait a while before that turns into well, we just can't fit it all in. From Eddie's yard, what can you say? We tried to get as much and many of the plants as we could. He's got his water gurgle in there, and hope we get to come back here soon and do it again. Can barely control myself, all these great conifers that we got lurking around here. Here we are outside the front door at the Reis home, and this is one of the seedlings from Mr. Burke. Joe Burke, was it? Yeah, I don't. He was a beloved bonsai and conifer guy who moved out to Oregon in the last years of his life, and made good selections on trees. I think I only have Burke's bonsai in the parviflora as the only tree, but I know he made a lot of
No, Burke.
correction on that. He didn't move out there. Did he go out there and spend time quite a bit though, every once in a while, or?
He went out there once. His daughter lives in Salem.
Oh, I see. So that was it. He probably spent some time or something. And Ed Wood and he were buddies, though, right? Here's the Reis friend home, and this is a nitiformis that Eddie's working on. You do a lot of the pruning for, I'm sure, still, don't you, Ed?
Yeah.
And gosh, what a visual feast for the eyes here. These great obtuses and exotic plants here, and the house is such a cutie pie with the little eyebrow window or whatever they called it.
That's a lean-to greenhouse there.
And a lean-to greenhouse off the back. He obviously did an awful lot of propagating of hinokis. You and he developed your techniques together, probably, didn't you, Eddie?
That we did.
Of how to propagate and get what plants threw the best seed, making the selection and checking it out of what was the best plant to take the seed from. Here we see two of his seedlings of, Maroc Twin was one of the Reis selections, and one of the more new and popular, not new, but I mean, one of the more highly propagated hinokis. Here we are in the backyard of the Spring Iron Place here, and certainly a really nice hairy lauders, heavy catkins on it this year, and God, that's his gnarled branching habit on the lower branches I think I've seen on one. Not that I've seen a ton of old ones, but everywhere you'd look in this yard, more feast for the eyes. Just really nice plants, and you can clean as a whistle. Hardly any weeds in this place. Elizabeth must should take good and loving care of this place. And as we walk around, we'll zero in on some of the plants here that Eddie knows that are the ones that Joe found.
This one we caught. In fact, we just put a name on this one. We thought it deserved the name Uprising Gold.
Here's two of Eddie's seedlings that you developed, again, 15 years ago or so, Ed? Or?
Oh, these are about 20 years ago.
These are 20-year-old seedlings?
These are cuttings from the original plant. These
I
are
see.
The original plants.
This is upright gold?
Upright gold.
Upright gold, and
this is the name of my grandson, Brian.
You got to give a plant for each of them. You can't just spoil Christopher. I mean, here's one of the more unique hornibruchianas, Pinus nigra hornibruchiana, that you would ever see. This is Eddie Rezek, cleaned out and candle pruned, holding its size and shape in this. This lot isn't much bigger than yours, is it, Ed, here?
Well, this is about the same as mine, but she has a section that extends all the way in the back where we used to grow the plants.
And is she using her greenhouse now here, or?
Not really, just some cacti and whatnot.
Do you have a favorite, Ed, of the Chamaecyparis piscifera folifera? Do you like lemon thread the best, or are they all so close that it?
I like gold mop. To me, that's a good one. This is an old plant of Lawsoniana minima Maria. That's an old plant already.
How old is that plant?
Here's a Lawsoniana aurea minima. How old is this one?
I guess that's about 35 years.
Now this golden flush on this blue over here, Eddie, what is that there?
That in there?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it. St. Mary's and something's happened to it. She had a problem with a couple of plants here that aren't. As a matter of fact, I had to take a couple out.
Chlorosis, would you call it, or?
It looks like a chlorosis to me.
And then that's an Aurea blue spruce over there, the little one between the...
This one over
Yes.
in here, that's one you won't see around. This is Picea pungens, Orianana.
Orianana.
Yeah.
Never heard of it even.
And a butte.
That is a butte. Really a superior little cultivar. That is a really nice color, very, very special. No burning on it, and it's in full sun here.
Yep.
So that's what happens in the gold ones. Sometimes we stick them out in the sun and they just get eaten up alive, and these spruce call for full sun. So I'm going to put in a request, if I can, for Eddie for a little wood on that one. That seems like a plant that we should really guard and try and get out in the trade, I would say.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
Here's this Orianana is from Lane Ziegenfuss, and so we'll have to try and track down Lane. Hopefully, maybe at the end of the week, we can shoot a little footage over at the at his place, the Hillside Garden in Layton, PA, isn't it, Ed?
Lehighton.
Lehighton, excuse me for my lousy pronunciation of these Eastern terms that I'm not familiar with.
Right,
This is Rosy Gillow on the Juga in winter color. Boy, I never see it in my yard ever look like that. That's one of the nicest looking purples that you would want. And is this the Procera glaucopendula, Eddie? Or?
Yeah.
That's sure a nice specimen of it. That shows the, sometimes this guy throws up the strong reversion. I mean, not the reversion, it throws up the strong leader, like all the prostrate plants sometimes do.
Place a couple of months ago.
Here we have Gold Drop, named by Joe Cesarini of Mrs. Cesarini. This Gold Drop, Chamacypris obtusa Gold Drop. Going to work on naming all the names in the correct way. And go ahead, Ed.
That's Mrs. Cesarini here.
Here we go. Mrs. Cesarini.
Picea pungens.
Picea pungens, Mrs. Cesarini. In England, they've called it Jesuensis and every other dang thing. So unsure that this could actually be a short-needled Picea pungens blue spruce. But that's what we are led to believe, and certainly I've never seen anyone quite like it myself. But
I have to tell you a story on this one. He originally called it Picea abies, Mrs. Cesarini. And
this is Joe Cesarini, the propagator,
Cesarini, right.
propagator who used to live up here on Long Island.
And you remember that big tree you saw on the side of my house? I said I think I may get rid of it with all the blue grafts on that Norway spruce. That's Mrs. Cesarini grafted on top. When they grafted on there, it took off, and then we knew it was a pungens and not a...
And that's how it was finally determined
that it wasn't Picea abies.
But it was reverted just a little, didn't really revert, it just accelerated its growth by being a top graft. Top grafting stimulates the plants and encourages them to grow just a little bit faster, right, Eddie?
That's right, and you could see, actually it changed color to blue. It was Mrs. Cesarini, but now you would think it was R.H. Montgomery or something grafted on there. But that's Mrs. Cesarini I have grafted on that tree.
Here we'll give a pan this way in the yard as we're going by the Harry Lauder's walking stick in with all its catkins. Joe's little shaded area, with the Cedrus atlantica glaucopendula underneath. I would say that that's 18-inch trunk in there that Eddie's taken Susie in to show him, and I want to go over and catch up with him. Any idea, Eddie, where Cedrus atlantica glaucopendula originated or came from, or is it?
It's from the Mediterranean.
Yeah, it's from North Africa, the plant, or that, isn't it? And,
it's
the native, one of the native Cedruses. But look at the branching structure. Eddie said he had to bring the house jack over here to, this thing was laying down, blocking out this little Ramada shady spot here that's there, and he brought the jack over and got a good 6-inch post under this massive 1-foot branch that comes off from this 2-foot trunk. This is certainly the biggest Cedrus atlantica glaucopendula I've ever seen. Must really love it here. As we're going by and I'm saying, well, what's this thing here? It's an unusual, it isn't a, it's a little dwarf blue, and Eddie says it's just a seedling that he came across and stuck around and hung on to. It's not as blue as R.H. Montgomery or anything, but it's a nice slow rate of growth and could be a real pretty little landscape plant.
Spiralis.
This is Eddie's pointing at this one. This is a true spiralis, and just a unique form and shape really on it, with that nice candle coming up almost from the base. That's a real pretty one, and he said he got these out of England, he and Joe, and would you say this thing's 15 years old then, Eddie, or 20 or something like that?
That's about 20 years old, this one here.
Very pretty. Really dwarf. This is Ilex crenata Dwarf Pagoda. From Dr. Orton at Rutgers, the fellows are saying.
More dirt.
Ooh, there goes a whole branch. Just joking.
Here we have one of the brooms that I've been really loving lately in my own yard is Wagneri. Very, very dense, kind of low plant at 10 or 15 years of age, but this at a little more than 30 starts elongating its inner node, and you can see here it grows several inches a year and starts accelerating. Delete everything on Wagneri in this one. Eddie is talking about this one that we were looking at a few minutes ago and couldn't remember. And this is much more like it here. Yes, Wagneri. In fact, this is even dwarfer than the one Isley has now on the coast, Eddie. Here's one we got a little confusion with, and I'm glad to try and straighten out. Humulus and berry garden are the same plant.
The same plant.
And of course, on every plant of Humulus here, you got slow and fast growth. So if Ed says there's really 4 kinds on each plant, whichever one you want to propagate, you can go after. So here you can see whether you want a fast one, you graft one of those fast branches, or you want the real slow mound, like this guy obviously is at 20 or 30 years old. At how?
It's about 35 years old.
35 years old. You can see how slow can you go. This is a slow one, and I love this plant in my own yard. And really, the original plant of this is at Berry Gardens, which is outside of Portland, and the berries were conifer guys or what? Alpine folks, and had found it somewhere and took it home probably in some way.
I don't know where it originated, but where they found it.
Sounds good. Here's that Picea St. James again, another very old plant here in Joe's backyard, and Joe and Elizabeth's backyard, really, now we should stress. And superior blue color for Picea abies. This is almost as blue as a Picea abies gets, wouldn't you say, Ed?
Yes.
And really nice and special specimen. Here's
Elizabeth cut it back to keep it in bounds here, you know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of unusual.
Here's a random seedling of Eddie's that has kind of like a slow and fast growth habit on it. And here I'm talking about superior blue color on a Picea abies, and this is one of his understock that he pulled aside, and it has that beautiful special blue color. Nothing Norway looking about that color. Maybe perchance it could be a hybrid, if I might stretch it. Could it be
That
a...
very well may be. You notice the Indies similar to pungents.
Yes. So on the same tree you have, Eddie was just saying, the two types of growth, the habit of both the Norway and the pungents in the same thing, and could be a chance random hybrid seedling of both of them. I'd appreciate a little wood on this one myself, Eddie, and has a very special habit, although it'll be a very large tree.
I think I may have a couple of grafts there.
Yeah, if have you named this one, Ed, yet? What are you naming this one?
No, just keep it differentiated from what is I just put down Rezek's selection.
Rezik selection on the pyramidal, I would say it's almost large. Wouldn't you say it's a large dwarf on the Picea? Here's the old-fashioned original Sueca, a communis, the tall, narrow, upright communis that both the Compressa and the pencil point communis were both taken from. And you can see almost a reversion on the one side here on its far right, where a dwarfness is obvious apparent.
Drop back there.
Here's gold drop back here. We made a slight screw up on my speaking here on the one that Cesarini selected. That one was really Costeri, and here is this beautiful, like a filigree lace, very, very soft textured hinoki called Gold Drop, with exceptional foliage texture and nice light creamy yellow. I'm sure it's yellower in the summer then, isn't it, Ed?
Creamy, I would say.
Not too yellow, not too bright in the yellow.
But it has a good winter color.
Very nice. For a second.
This isn't Rukazan now.
No, this is not Rukazan, but this is one of the Suzuki Azaleas, which is the dwarfest, I believe, azalea that there is. Of course, the flower isn't real strong on them, is it, Ed? Or
very large.
Very large flowers on it, too.
Yeah, beautiful flowers.
Oh, that's great. And when we get over to Eddie's place, we'll have to take a picture of Rukazan, which is his personal selection of what he thinks is the best one. I love these dwarf azaleas, and they sure grow great in the conifer. Go. This is a cross between
Aristata and what's that other one that's
Flexuous.
No. They're very closely related. But it's an Aristata.
Albicollis.
No, it's an Aristatus.
Oh, yes, I know which one you mean. Aristata and, gosh. It's the foxtail or something, that one. I know what you mean, Ed.
Well, it's a hybrid, and there were a group of them that John Isley grew, and this one, I named this one after Joe died. I was out there. So I named this one Joe's Best.
Uh-huh.
You know,
so this
is his wife.
Yes.
But I put Best, B-E-S-T, Joe's Best.
Uh-huh. So
we just let it Joe's Best, B-E-S.
That's the way to do it on this Longava.
That's it.
Pinus longava.
Longivia and Aristata.
Longivia and Aristata hybrid. Joe's Best. B-E-S.
S.
B-E-S-S.
He calls it Best.
Okay. We got her now. B-E-S-S.
And then Vinny Fischetti was out there. He named one Fischellen, Fischetti and his girlfriend Ellen Fischellen.
Uh-huh.
And I named one, I forget what the hell it was I named it now. I have it home yet.
These have never been in the trade or never even,
introduced in the trade, no.
never even heard of.
This one I sell to collectors. I propagate it.
You got one at home, Eddie, to sell? Here's a Mugo Eddie came across, just a real tight one. No name on it then, Ed, yet? Or
No.
just exceptional. It's never been candle pruned or anything?
No.
No, see, sometimes Mugos, though, when they're immature, let's call this an immature one. This isn't a...
Well, it's an old plant already.
Oh, it is? This is
an old plant.
more than 10 or 15 years?
Yeah.
So, well, this really is a dwarf one. Sometimes they stay dwarf like this for quite a while in young plants. Paul's dwarf, unfortunately, is one that starts out real dwarf, named after Paul Halladin, the great propagator. He really is a tremendous propagator out at Isley. And unfortunately, it's not the best. It doesn't honor him the best way that it should. It's not the best plant of Mugo that Isley ever had out there. This is Banksiana nana. Now, Banksiana can be, this has a nice color, very dense internode, just a superior plant in every way, I would call it. Banksianas can be quite a, well, the regular straight species are not too desirable as a conifer at all, but this Banksiana nana is really a nice plant, and now who did this come from? Any idea, Eddie, or just picked it up along the way? It's out there.
Here we picked it up a long way. I have an idea. It's either from Ziegenfuss, or there was a fellow up in Connecticut that used to be a collector years ago. I can't think of his.
It's not one of Al Fordham's, so it's a separate thing altogether. So this is one of Al Fordham's. Al's Skudik and Mohammed and those. This is one of Al's here. Looks like Skudik to me, I think, but I don't know that. It's hard to say. Skudik is a good low flat one anyhow, and this is a nice looking one. But as you can see in this one from Al, it's a little yellow, and in comparison to Nano over here, the superior dark green color. The Skudik over there would have the more typical color, and this one with its exceptional nice dark green. This is a special one. That's a special, very nice plant.
Up in Connecticut.
Here's one out of Mezzet's nursery, the PJM folks.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, why can't we remember the name right off the hand? But
it was named after the propagator up there, and I can't think of his name.
Oh,
but,
Kathy Freeland was the one propagator years ago, but after her, oh yeah, the other fellow. And then did he die in some weird accident? I remember the story on this plant, but not the name.
In a bed of Picea glauca.
Yeah.
And originally they put it out as Picea abies, but it was found in a bed of Picea glauca.
Yes.
A seedling.
It has some funny name. I can't remember the whole story about it, but I believe it was Wayne Mezet or one of the two Mezet brothers. It was a sad story. The man was killed tragically in an accident soon thereafter. Here's a beautiful ligustrum privet, Eddie's saying.
I'm not sure on the name on this one, but it's. I don't think it'd be hardy out where you are.
No, it's.
At least it would lose the leaves.
But it's got a pretty twist in the foliage and a real exceptionally nice shiny leaf on it that I guess would lead to its superiorness. Here we are at Henry Weisenberger's yard, Hank or Henry, and just a nice, wonderful, meticulous garden. Got lots of nice little dwarf plants scattered about here. Here we are outside Henry's back door, just jam-packed full.
Yeah.
Okay, the three buses went three different times. And Or you got to go to 2 of the 3, or I wasn't here either.
Oh, I just hardly know where to strike the camera next to park it at for a while. The place is just filled with stuff here. Yeah, Henry, not hardly a weed. What are you talking about?
Would you get some interest?
There's a nice Thunbergia here of some cultivar.
I saw in July. You talked to Jim?
Henry, you do your own grafting then?
Oh, God, no. No, it gets sent off. The Cade does it from Jersey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, John Cade. Well, David Cade now. John's getting old. He's walking.
Oh, we shot him yesterday.
Oh, really?
Was it yesterday, guys? I'm on kind of a...
Time goes by. Yeah.
Are we having fun yet? Are we here? I don't even... This must be day 5. We're in Long Island. I don't know where the hell I am.
You spell that L-O-N-G-I-L-A-N-D.
Yeah,
Long Island.
I'm from Chicago. Henry, how long you been collecting here?
Yeah, well, Eddie started me off August of 1959,
Oh my gosh!
almost 100 years ago.
So that's when this your bald cypress here, or is this a metasequoia?
Well, that's a rooted cutting from 1961, I think.
Wow.
Of bald cypress or metasequoia?
That's the one that was at your mother's place?
No, she still got that one.
She still got that
This one here, I rooted off that one from my mother's, and it was over at Ellen's parents' yard there, and then when we got the house, I put it in here, and I got pictures when it was only about that tall. And this was wide open. Nothing.
And look at it
Well,
now.
cypress on the other side.
Yeah, here we go. We got Pinus densiflora pendula here in Jim Cross's yard. Front of the office, not in his yard actually, but around there. Very large, big specimen. Here we have, I believe this is Mitch weeping. Tough to speak definitively without the masters around here that we've been hanging out with, but I'm pretty sure this is Mitch's weeping with its exposed branches. Here's a nice blue. Don't know which one this is really. But then over here, trying to stay out of the shadow, we'd have, I'm pretty sure this is Hillside Creeper. Dense, turning yellow in the wintertime, looking really pretty. Here's a nice form of Pisces orientalis pendula. That's the Serbian spruce. Oh gosh, Susie's right here with me, thank God. Pisces omarica pendula, thank Lord that she is. And what would I do without that woman by my side? Here's some Pinus rigida, no, yes, rigida witch's brooms of Jim's here that tree service guy collected the cones looking for a little bluer form and came up with these guys here that he's been monitoring for the last few years, looking for good color variation. And they're seemingly nice specimen type pine trees. This little guy here is especially nice, and he said we could take some cones on them. There's some cones on them, so we'll work them a little bit here and hopefully come up with something good. Here's the Watnong. Coming from Watnong was a dwarf flexilis that Tom brought up to Jim some years ago. What do you call this one, Jim? This flexless.
Pinus flexless dwarf.
Pinus flexless, known by Jim as Pinus flexless dwarf. So you do propagate this one?
Yeah, we graft it sometime.
Yeah. If there's one available, here's a beautiful form of parviflora, one of my favorites, called Fukasumi. Prime little specimen, looking really good. Here we got a densata, Picea glauca densata that Jim Cross has in his yard that's never been propagated, that he's had around here for years. And so this might be the first big living witch's broom that we got of it. And really a lovely plant, never been named, certainly worthy of looking at a little closer and having a lot of fun with. So we'll talk to Jim about getting this wood. This is Pinus X hackadensis here at Jim Cross. This is certainly one of the biggest ones. He says it's only scant 35 years old, and not even, and looking real good here. The plant over right behind Tom over there now is Planting Fields dwarf white. That's Pinus strobus nana Planting Fields. Naniform. Here's Strobus brevifolia. Excuse me.
Now, Tom, I want to show you some zinc varieties there before we get away from them, and we'll go back pining again.
This is Bergman here. And over here is this Pinus parviflora Bergman. And to the right is Pinus pumila National Arboretum. I believe that's part of the Watnong ones that came from Watnongs. I am brain damaged here, Jim, so I can't remember what you call it, and it was called Gracilis, but that wasn't right.
Picea orient. No, that's correct. That's what it's called. Picea orientalis gracilis. And I just stick a nana on the end.
Gracilis nana. Okay, I see.
Because it's obviously such a dwarf plant, and there isn't such a thing that I can see.
No, gosh, that certainly is a rare and beautiful plant. Very special. I really try to go after every orientalis, that's for sure. That is certainly a nice one. This 25 years old then, yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, this is Pinus strobus weirdo. Jim says he wants to show off his beautiful Deodora back there. Is that...
he has to dig something up, the caretaker down there in the summertime, he worries about it. And so he brings it up here.
The strobus is, with the kinky habit, is Pinus strobus weirdo. Not common in the trade, but it's out there in weird conifer guys' gardens every once in a while. Here's the multi-trunk in the Nucatensis pendula. This is the one, same clone that Marty Brooks supposedly turned down $1 million for, $500,000, and he was, yeah, I'm good. Let's say $3 million. No, it was it was $500,000, he says, and his other one was $1.5 million. I thought that was the Picea abies pendula that he. Jim Cross is here's his Uncle Fogey. The Banksiana pine from the University of Minnesota's Landscape Arboretum. So this is a pretty mature specimen, certainly 20 years old, I would guess, they're not 25. Pan on them, and if you would say again what the three cultivars are, here's why we have a problem in the conifer business in dwarf arborvitaes. What are the three cultivars here, Jim? Little Gem,
Hetz midget,
Little Gem, Hetz midget,
and Macrophylla nana.
And Macrophylla nana.
And you take your pick. I couldn't possibly tell you which is which.
Oh gosh, if there's a gnat hair difference, obviously.
It's a little different in sunlight. That's just a shade. That's just
more
a shade.
vomitoriously brown.
Yeah, but you get another day and then we'll look exactly. Okay. That's one you got.
Superior to Rigida.
Juniperus formosianum here. This is just has that beautiful Juniperus Formosianum, this beautiful pendulous form of juniper from the high mountains of Formosa, or whatever they call it, nationalist China. I'm sorry, I'm bad on my... here's a little grouping Jim has of Globosa nana, coming from Henry Holman at the Kingsville Nursery down in Maryland originally, and possibly in the trade known as Globosa that John Isley gave one to Tom, and very, very dwarf, dense, beautiful blue spruce. Much slower than any of the other cultivars that we have at the present time. Very pretty. Here's three Chamaecyparis. They're all thioides, though.
That's sold sometimes as Thuya ericoides. Okay. Sometimes as Chamaecyparis sandalina. I can't figure that one out now. Over here in the back is a plant like that.
Is Thuya ericoides, and then in Jim's catalog would be this middle one. I have to get back to you on that one. It's a little more feathery, I would call it, than got on Red Sprite, just with a few berries on it here in the well, it's the Ilex, what is it, honey? Verticillata. Also known as compacta, Jim said. And also known as nana. Just for a few little bit, I don't think we're going to straighten out much in horticulture this trip.
You can't get photographs out of that thing, right?
No, but Susie can with her slides. That's Chamaecyparis piscifera. Is that Chamaecyparis piscifera squarosa? Lombard sweeping? Lombard sweeping. With thioides, heather bun on the left,
over there.
and ericoides on the Chamaecyparis thioides on the right. We think this is Don Shadow's perhaps find, or Susie, you're casting a shadow on the plant there, Dolly, of
I think you're better from the back.
Yeah.
compact Pinus bungiana compacta. Is that right, Jim?
Anymore, do you? L1 Jerryana. You still do? Yeah.
So this is Elware.
It's a summer, good summer.
Yes.
You look down in, it's like looking at Nana gracilis Chamaecyparis.
Thuja occidentalis Elwangeriana aurea. Chubb always says that's a hard plant to differentiate, and it sure is with the Rheingold until Jim says it's this age and it really starts showing its superiority.
Better than others, and they change, and from year to year they change. I'll never forget saving out the goldest from the crop of cutting. Saving out the ones, I think we saved 5 of the most golden. Put them out for stock, and a couple years later we took one of those. It was a little bit bigger.
This is sun gold here on the Chamaecyparis piscifera filifera. Superior in form, Jim saying, but not as good as gold color. The rest that's some more witches' brooms off of Pinus rigida here in Long Island that Jim's scrounged and put together here, and unnamed beauties that hanging out around the corners of his nursery. So he says dang things are Long Island just full of witches' brooms.
For a long time sent me that.
Witches' broom on Acer palmatum from Hess's nephew on Bloodgood, excuse me.
Fragrant. Huh. I
never
saw it.
From Yezu, and that's a northern part of Japan. Blooms here in the midwinter, I guess, here on Long Island.
Summer dormant.
Summer
dormant everywhere.
Huh.
It's summer dormant. It loses its leaves in the summer. In the fall, late summer, it comes new foliage and flowers.
Is it scented like the other Daphnes?
Whoa.
Daphne yezoense.
We set one of those by our front door every winter.
We have another John Shadow plant.
Don
Shadow, excuse me. Juniper Virginiana dwarf.
Moonlight
Moonlight.
or moonshine. Every time I hear it, it's different.
Moonlight or moonshine. Very, very small, super small needles. And although we find a lot of witches' brooms in Juniper Virginiana, we can't get them to graft for nothing. And most typically we think they're disease brooms, but boy, that's a superior
Now,
one.
Stop on there, I'll tell you. This is sold as Camacypris obtusa repens, this plant here. But there's a plant that's a pendulous repens that is a poor plant. It just seems to die out.
What is this one here that you named,
Well,
Jim?
This one, one time we had a plant of that Camacypris obtusa repens that was the prostrate one that goes along, creep along the ground. And it lived a while and got some seed on it. We saved the seed, and we got one good prostrate one and this one, and the rest were nothing. And we call that topsy.
Topsy.
All it takes is one good seed.
Camacypris obtusa topsy.
Right there.
Here we are in Jim Cross's yard and garden, and taking a little slow play and getting a little house building going on here. Got the weeping birch there, probably youngi. The pine there, Pinus, parviflora glauconana. Here's a little of the border on this December day. Getting a little colder. Got a nice weeping blue spruce, probably pendula there, or coster pendula. Down along the border. One of the Follifera Aureas there, probably Nana or the other. Densiflora, Colus dracona. And here's a new pond of Jim's, I believe. I don't remember this from 3 years ago.
Yeah. Hi, Jeff. Hi. Are you okay?
There's a Tsuga mertensiana that Jim has, a straight species, from some of his buddies sent it to him from Oregon, and it's a high alpine plant above the Procera and those other Olympic firs. So he says, gosh, I don't have any mountains around here, and he's got a little, pretty good little hill here, and so he put it right on top of his hill, and never had any transplants. Here's Communis depressa aurea, sitting by Jim's pool here on this winter day, and doing a little pan over around these parts. The pool loses a little of its magic when the water's down. Doesn't look nearly so much like a pond. Here's one of Jim's peacock kales here he's got growing in his Victorian planter.
That's Lindera, angustifolia next to it. Yeah, great contrast plant.
Oh, yeah.
Great against blue spruce.
The white vine on the floor there. You're talking about?
No, this Lindera.
Oh, the Lindera, the brown one, yes.
Stays light, attractive brown all winter. Great contrast plant to blue spruce, for example.
Uh-huh. Oh, gosh. Glad you pointed out to me, Tom.
You can grow it. The two guys at Alpine Gardens over in New Jersey. What's Alpine, New Jersey?
Oh, I know them, yeah, but I can't think of their names.
McCaffrey.
Yeah.
They come in now and then get plants, and they'd owe me some money for so long time. I guess he wanted to make me feel better. So
Did you feel better?
he brought that plant in. I kind of did.
Good.
What is it?
I don't know. I can't figure out. He had no idea what it was. But he says it hasn't grown hardly at all. You can see how much it's grown.
That's
Soft needles, are they? Those stickers?
No, they're
We're
stiff.
What do you think it might be?
I said Engelmann just first look at it by color, but
Pretty
Here's Connie and Jim's new waterfall coming in through here. The mother of waters being up above, up on the top. Jim says this was made in an old dump. You had to go through a jillion tin cans and bottles, all sorts of stuff. And here's the beautiful little bridge. I told Jim I think it's an Adirondack Bridge because it's like the Adirondack furniture.
Oh, the cat's in there.
This block after the foreman.
Oh, Jim, yeah, repeat the story of how you did. Chubb and I went round and round in England with those old boys on this very stuff.
Well, out in Oregon, they raise these in the block
Oh,
after
that sound effects.
the foreman.
Next thing you
Came
had
to me
sound.
is Mariana Nana,
Uh-huh.
which there are several Mariana Nanas around, some of which are good. This is a marvelous plant. Takes anything, anywhere. And it reverted back to Mama. And Mr. Dilatosh suggested we let it go for a while. And I used that to show people what it was when they came through. And it's surely Mariana. We finally have to cut the reversion off.
After you made your demonstration,
Yeah, to keep it from going to pot on.
now Mariana Nana is confused with Echinoformis, right? Picea glauca echinoformis, excuse me.
But this correctly should be Picea Mariana echinophorbus. There was no question because of the seed cones were that of Mariana. They're distinct from glauca.
Boy, will
Not even a hybrid. Well, they don't hybridize anymore.
Boy, will Chubb be glad to hear this tale. This is another mystery solver we're solving today. This is the best mystery we solved lately. Tom, go ahead now.
Well, if you root this from cutting, it'll live in where it's standing in water for a couple of months. Dr. Newman in Bedford, New Hampshire has a nice plant where there's water standing several months of the year. And if it was glauca, the roots would rot. But being Mariana, it takes water. That's a swamp plant. So that made us think it was anyway. But when Jim's threw the reversion that had the very typical Mariana seed cone on it,
That confirmed it. That proved once and for all that this is Mariana Nana, not Glauca echinoformis.
and in the wild you have Mariana and Rubens hybridized, and you have lots of hybrids in Maine, especially toward the seacoast. And the seed cone in them can be intermediate, but Glauca refuses to hybridize with Mariana. So you either got one or the other. And in this case, we know it's Mariana. There's no hybridity. There's no nothing. It's pure Mariana. It's just a witch's broom somebody found someday.
That's really good. Here we have the little dollhouse gathering spot of the kids here at Jim's place. Everything in a second here. Here we have Jim's rock garden right in front of his house here, and the first plant is Communis pencil point. That's Suica, propagation from Suica originally. Is that the correct pronunciation, fellas?
I don't know.
How do you pronounce that damn name?
I think something like that.
Something like that. And then, so Jim says the little brown that it has, it is from propagation. He uses it as a stock plant. And then behind it, the other one, Tom, is, name that one for me, please.
That's Chrome Run.
And who
That was Jared Bird's selection of, I believe it was a mutation on Compunis compressa.
very pretty. Unfortunately, I'm running out of film here, I guess.
You'd have
That's
to
the
check
critical
Jared on
fault,
that.
Susie. Have we shot up that much already? This is Jim.
They never hardened off because they never got a signal for
In '89, they had a weird weather problem here that messed up this heather garden and really decimated the display terrible.
Easy to get around doing anything about it.
He does happen to have one or two heathers around this place to fill in the spots with, but I'm sure this thing is in beautiful shape. I'm the kind of guy that likes to pull my plants. And here's Jim's rock garden here. And this was the other seedling from Picea glauca that Jim has here. and Picea glauconana. He has 2 of them, 1 and 2, and God, it's a beautiful plant, and glad to hear it. It looks like an adcock, but it's from Picea glaucon. Has a nice twist in the needle as it matures, and even shorter needles in in front of Jim's house, this is the entrance. It looks like one of those Acer palmatum. What was that cultivar yesterday, Tom? Kaiohaimi. But boy, that's a nice little low, flat Japanese maple. Looks like Jim might have trimmed that one a little. But here's Jim's entrance. Here we have another pan along the road. Another one of Jim's display gardens as the sun sets here. We run around to feverishly try and pull some plants now in the last gasping moments of our too short a time here. I'll bring the truck down.